Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Dallas Cowboys handle the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-14 in the second annual Monday playoff game. Another blowout. Last year, the Rams blew out the Cardinals on their way to the Super Bowl victory. Could the Cowboys duplicate history? Stay tuned. We'll talk about this game. Also going to talk about the 2022 All-Pro team, something that I always take very seriously. I just like it because it's our kind of stamp, for history. It's like a time capsule. Like, not very many people can go back and look at the 1989 NFL season with the nuance that we lived it with, The All-Pro team there is there to kind of guide us what 1989 was like. And that's how I think of these teams. 2022, somebody in 2050, if we're even still here, someone in 2050 isn't going to really know the nuance. So I just take it seriously. I don't know. So we'll talk about that. Check out the Saturday podcast about the Jaguars' epic comeback / Chargers' horrifically familiar collapse. The Sunday podcast, we talked about the Bengals and Bills scraping by on Daniel Jones Day, having his victory over the Vikings, their victory, the Vikings, the New York Football Giants. And then tomorrow we'll be here to discuss the divisional matchups with Kirk. But the wild card weekend Super wild card weekend, trademark, finishes with a whimper, and that's okay. That's okay. The Cowboys handled the Buccaneers. I was just trying to come up with a way to start the podcast, and the only way I can say it is the Buccaneers tried to tell us all year who they were. But we just could not see past Tom Brady. Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. And rightfully so. We've all been burned for like a decade saying Brady is done. I mean, there are people who were like 21 years old. Now they're in their 30s. Or who were like 21 years old when they confidently declared Tom Brady was done and then he won the Super Bowl that year or something like that. They're in their 30s now. Game kind of started slowly, 4 possessions, 4 punts. But then Dak on the 5th possession hit Michael Gallup for 15 yards, and the Cowboys offense never stopped. Dak Prescott looked on fire. His absolutely certain best game of the year. 305 yards, 4 touchdowns, in command, in control, hitting his actual playmakers, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard getting in. It was pretty great. It was pretty great to see. I'm excited about it, not because I'm a Cowboys fan, but because it means the NFC gets a little interesting now. Because the Cowboys have always been that team that's like, if they could just get their crap together. And remember how week 1 started. Buccaneers blew out Cowboys. Dak Prescott got hurt. Think of how far we've come since then. Now, there was a moment where we thought, oh, God, Tom Brady's never going to go away. Right before the third quarter, Brady throws a deep bomb to Julio Jones to make it 24-6. You're thinking, oh, no. The Dallas kicker has missed 4 extra points. Brady just threw a touchdown before the quarter. They get the 2-point conversion here. They're only down 2 possessions. It was 24-0. Now it's 24-8. But they do miss that 2-point conversion. Missed holding call there, by the way. The credit to Dallas Cowboys, though, and to Dak, after Brady scored that touchdown, and the Cowboys are only up by 18 now, quote-unquote only, there's still a quarter left. They came out firing with a 6-minute drive. They were passing the ball. They were playing the game just as they would at any time. Now, Phil Simms wants you to run the ball and keep the clock moving. You know what's better than that? Getting first downs and getting a touchdown. They just kept the game plan. Dak just ran the offense. They didn't worry about, plays to get tackled in bounds or anything like that. It's still the early fourth quarter. You don't do that yet. I'm just really impressed by that. And Brady's dark magic has run dry. I mean, maybe a little bit of it still got into kicker Brett Maher, who missed 4 extra points, as I said. What a world. That I'm glad he made one at the end, because the Cowboys. Some of the Cowboys are having the best night of their life, and the kicker is in absolute hell. For the Buccaneers, so long, 8-9. This is kind of how it should have ended. Todd Bowles should be fired tonight. He's working with a Rolodex and a landline telephone. Defense, got to trust your defense. Got to win the field position battle. You're done, Todd Bowles. You're done. Even after, okay. It was early in the game, I admit, but the Buccaneers gave up 2 straight touchdown drives, and Brady got to midfield. It's 4th and 3. Todd Bowles punts. Got to trust your defense. You just gave up 2 long touchdown drives. Maybe you should admit to yourself, get your pride out of the way. Your defense sucks. Go for it on 4th and 3. But hey, that's. Hopefully Todd Bowles gets fired. Tom Brady, I think this is the end. I think this is the last game for Tom Brady. Even in his wildest statements, he always said 45. And, he's the GOAT. He's got every record in the book. I don't want to dwell on it too much. He has no records left to break. I was joking on Twitter that He got up to, there are a lot of garbage time passing yards here as the Buccaneers kind of climbed slowly back. It was done, but Brady got up to 351 yards in this game and went to 13,400 playoff career yards. And this is how good Brady is. He's not like close to breaking a record. He has the record by so much, it's ridiculous. What he did do today was, by getting up to the 13,400 career playoff yards mark, was have more than the number 2 and number 3 guy on that list, Peyton and Big Ben, combined. It's just absolutely amazing. But today was a Cowboys day. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss a great matchup, Cowboys 49ers. A lot of historical stuff in there. So congratulations to the Cowboys. I'm glad they're moving on. And let's get to the rest of the show. The Mukilteo Football Show shows football everything, NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of a season. Follow us on Twitter or YouTube at MUK_football. Subscribe, like, review on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We're going to be here tomorrow to talk to divisional round with Brother Kirk. That'll be fun. But today, I want to do the same thing I did last year. The All-Pro team given out by the Associated Press with my own little tweaks, because this is only one game today, and I kind of I like this. The All-Pro team is a stamp in time, a time capsule. I generally agree with about 90% of the list. Last year my only big disagreement, or I guess I had 2. I had one on offense, was Tom Brady. I had Tom Brady over Aaron Rodgers last year as the number 1 quarterback. I've talked it to death, but basically I think that we just made a wrong decision as a group. We assumed that Rodgers had the efficiency while Brady had the counting stats, but it wasn't true. Brady had the stats and the same efficiency, very similar efficiency. So he should have got it then. And on defense, I had A.J. Terrell over Trayvon Diggs. A lot of people had that same quibble. But let's get to it this year. Let's just go through the offense and then the defense. So, 2022 All-Pro team with Mukilteo football commentary, quarterback. And this will save time by not disagreeing with the quarterback decision this time. Kansas City quarterback, Pat Mahomes. Obviously, the great season. He entered historic statistical range because of the 17th game. So I think we got to keep that perspective. But it was still, a top 20, 25 quarterback season of all time. This was seriously impressive without Tyreek Hill. Pat Mahomes is a quarterback. Running back, also no disagreement from me. Raiders running back Josh Jacobs looked amazing. I was ready to go to the absolute turf fighting if Derrick Henry had got this, because he padded his stats with a lot of crappy stuff. He wasn't the same guy. Josh Jacobs, one of 71 players in NFL history to go 2,000 yards from scrimmage, 17 games. But hey, he's the only one who did it this year. That's something. Man, Where did Jacobs come from? Amazing. Well-deserved for this year. Receivers. I love that we do 3 receivers now. No fullback. 3 receivers. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson is the easy choice. He's in the AP press. He's in mine as well. The best 3-year start for for a receiver ever. He was 1 vote shy of Debo last year, and I did choose Debo. But Jefferson was also robbed of Rookie of the year before. It's nice for Jefferson to get something here. First team All-Pro. And then Tyreek Hill is the other one. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Again, no argument. It's amazing we split up Mahomes and Hill, and spoiler alert, Kelsey, who's the tight end. We split them up, yet here they are all together on the first All-Pro team. 119 yards, 119 catches for Tyreek Hill, 17,999 yards. I'm sorry, 1,700. What the heck? 1,800 yards. And his starting quarterback only played like 68% of the year. So Tyreek Hill was a bomb. Now here's my first diversion. 3rd receiver. I'm going to go with Bills wide receiver Stephon Diggs. Now the AP, Associated Press, they have this as Las Vegas Raider Devontae Adams, who had a great season. But I just think they're so close that the tiebreakers should go to Diggs. I mean, people say, oh, like Diggs disappeared for a while, as if that didn't apply to Adams. Like every Raiders collapse, we're screaming about where's Adams. Diggs only had 90 less yards, 3 less touchdowns than Adams on 30 less targets. And he was also playing in way bigger and way tougher games. And Diggs is just, he's a lone wolf out there. You know, Josh Allen began with Stephon Diggs. I really think we don't appreciate how big of a part of the offense he really is. And this is all splitting hairs. Diggs and Adams had a great year, but I take these things as a tiebreaker. Plus, we can't have 2 Raiders on the first team All-Pro offense since Jacobs was already there. Diggs is my receiver. I already mentioned tight end. That's Travis Kelce. I don't think there's any argument on that. Offensive line. So, now, I certainly am not going to claim that I have been watching the offensive line play to the point where I can pick out the first and second best linemen from each other. I'm not going to claim that. What I will say is that I read people who do. I like the metric sites, Football Outsiders. I like PFF, especially in larger sample sizes, and just individual smart offensive line guys on Twitter, Brandon Thorne, some of the athletic guys. So my offensive line is basically the same. And it was last year too. Right tackle Lane Johnson for Philadelphia Eagles. Right guard Zach Martin for the Dallas Cowboys. Left guard, Joel Bitonio for the Cleveland Browns. Left tackle, that one's the easy one. Trent Williams, San Francisco 49er. I'm so happy for Williams getting these back-to-back first-team All-Pros. He's legitimately been one of the best players in the NFL in his 11th and 12th seasons for the 49ers. It's amazing out there. Center, I diverged for center. AP awarded Jason Kelce for Philadelphia Eagles. I award Kansas City Chiefs center Creed Humphrey. Now, I'm not going to say that I know exactly every little technique and stuff like that, but lost in some of the Kansas City conversation has been that the tackles aren't playing that well. Yet Mahomes is still, that pocket's nice and comfortable. A lot of that is to do with the improved interior and second-year player Creed Humphrey, who has played so well. And I guess on the Jason Kelce side, I just feel like he's getting the votes just through familiarity. He's got the podcast with Travis Kelce. He's got the Christmas album, the Eagles' success with these rugby QB sneaks. They're all so high profile. And a lot of these all-pro voters, are just kind of, putting down their champagne for a moment to deign their vote out, from the USA Today. I just think that Humphrey's put in the better season and Kelsey's getting a bump, a perception, big name recognition bump. That's why I was comfortable actually disagreeing with that one. So the offense, again, I have the same basic team. as the AP, except for I replaced Stephon Diggs, or replaced Devontae Adams with Stephon Diggs. I replaced Jason Kelsey with Creed Humphrey. Okay, got about 10 minutes here. Let's talk defense. Now, I love this part of the year where I get to look back at defense because, as you go week to week, a clear picture doesn't always form. But over the course of 18 weeks, used to be 17 weeks, you start to slowly get an idea of individual defensive performance. And this really gets lost over time. In the end, in 2032, when we talk about the Cowboys defense and the 49ers defense, we're going to talk about their playoff success and just their total points allowed. We're going to sort it by that on Pro Football Reference. Who exactly is responsible for each individual year? We don't know. So I like this part. Edge rusher, defensive end, Micah Parsons, Dallas Cowboys. That's an easy one. He was linebacker last year, which made it easier because there's really two more guys and only have one more spot. Nick Bosa for San Francisco is the one who got it for the AP press. I'm going to give it to Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns. And there's no winning this argument because there's three edge players who played at a first-team All-Pro level. That's the fact. Parsons, Garrett, and Nick Bosa all deserve to be on the All-Pro team. Last year we just popped Parsons over to linebacker and gave it to Watt and Garrett, but we can't really do the linebacker thing with Parsons this year. He really lined up as an edge. So I choose Myles Garrett for one little reason, which is degree of difficulty. It's a tiebreaker. We got to use a tiebreaker, but Garrett and Parsons, they're on a separate grid from Bosa in terms of difficulty of assignment. Now, I don't take PFF as gospel, especially with small sample size, one-game sample sizes. I don't care about PFF. Or thin margins, like this guy's at an 82, this guy's at 81. I don't care. But in a season-long sample size, and there's a large margin, I trust it. And per PFF, the difficulty of assignment metric, Myles Garrett was number one of all edge rushers. Parsons was well in the top 10. Bosa was in the bottom half percentile. So 50% of the edge rushers had a more difficult assignment. That's because of the rest of the line, I'm sure, for the 49ers. But that's a little painful tiebreaker I can use to give edge to Parsons and Myles Garrett. Those are my defensive ends. Defensive tackle. Let's talk to big old guys. Chris Jones, Kansas City Chiefs. He was the AP award. I award him as well. Finally, a year out of Aaron Donald's shadow. Yay! And I awarded it to Chris Jones last year, even though the actual winner was Cam Hayward. I love Chris Jones. He's going to be fun to watch in this playoff run coming up. Other defensive tackle, Quinnen Williams of the New York Jets. I just agree with the AP press on this. This was tough because of what we watched yesterday with the Giants. Defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, who's a second-team All-Pro. Really, it comes down to Big Dexter had the later part of the year New York market hype, while Quinnen Williams for the Jets had the early part of the year New York market hype. In the end, I just went with the AP, though Big Dexter is going to be fun to watch next week. He's the one who made Kirk Cousins check it down, folks. He's the one who made Kirk Cousins check it down. So my defensive line there, Micah Parsons, Chris Jones, Quinnen Williams, and Myles Garrett. All right, let's go to linebacker. This was a pretty easy one, too. Fred Warner for the 49ers, Matt Milano for the Bills, Roquan Smith for the Ravens. I just agreed with the AP again. I flexed out linebacker for defensive back last year. I don't know if you're really allowed to do that, but some people do it, so I don't know. But, Fred Warner is one of the best players in the league. Matt Milano is one of the main reasons the Bills have not collapsed without Von Miller and Micah Hyde. And Ravens defense became elite basically at the point of Roquan Smith's arrival, and he showed it on the field. So these three are easy. Why do you think everyone's so good on the 49ers defense? It's just like Bobby Wagner all those years with Seattle. Fred Warner for the 49ers, the best middle linebacker in the game. in a time of NFL history where it's very hard to play middle linebacker because you got to cover, and Warner is something special. Look at the Dolphins game if you really want to see Fred Warner ruin a man. Yeah. So Bobby Wagner, by the way, had a great year for the Rams. Not first team All-Pro, but a good year. Defensive back. Okay, Sauce Gardner for the Jets, Patrick Surtain for the Broncos. Okay, again, full agreement with the AP. You're probably like, yeah, I already read all this stuff, but I like going through it. For the Broncos, it's probably feels good that Pat Surtain got a All-Pro, at least some small consolation for not taking Justin Fields at that spot. I remember they took Surtain at number 8 or 9 in the 2021 NFL draft. Everyone said to take Fields. Everyone. So at least they got an All-Pro out of it, but I probably should have taken Fields. And then Sauce Gardner, probably the biggest story when the AP Press released the All-Pro. He is the first rookie corner to be first-team All-Pro since 1981 Ronnie Lott. That is some great company to be with. Unfortunately, he did not. He's already out of the playoffs, so he is not going to get to do what Lott did, which is win the Super Bowl in his rookie year, as Lott did in 81. But it's still seriously impressive. It's amazing that we've had 2 years in a row with a rookie on the first team All-Pro. It's hard to play in coverage and really to play defense in the NFL as a rookie. So Parsons last year, Sauce Gardner this year for the Jets. Pretty impressive. Sauce Gardner, Jets, Patrick Surtain, Broncos, man in the corners. Safety, one easy one. Minkah Fitzpatrick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's started the year hot, held up. He's the highlight reel that all the mouth breathers know is a good safety, and he's also one of the good safeties, the good safety of the year. Last divergence. The AP awarded to safety for San Francisco, Talanoa Hufanga. I'm giving it to safety Derwin James for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, this is for kind of both reasons that I've mentioned already. Hufanga, I think, is getting name recognition because he looks like Troy Polamalu, because he's from USC. He's got a memorability bump from lazy analysis from guys like Teddy Bruschi, Matt Hasselbeck, ESPN guys. Yes, Hufanga's playing well, but he ain't Polamalu, man. He ain't Derwin James. And it's also a degree of difficulty thing. Like the Myles Garrett. Derwin keeps everything together. He does everything amazing. He's one of the best players in the league. He was the November player of the month. He actually got more first place votes for the All-Pro than Hufanga did. So by the old voting rules, he would have gotten first team All-Pro. I don't disagree with the new voting. I'm glad they get to vote for first and second place now, because what used to happen was the one guy who they only got a first place vote, and the one guy who had barely watched the NFL and just voted for I don't know, Matt Hasselbeck, because he's on my mind right now from the ESPN jab. So instead of voting for Peyton Manning 2004, one guy votes for Matt Hasselbeck because he's from Seattle and he's an idiot. Matt Hasselbeck becomes second team All-Pro because he got one first team vote. That's how it used to work. Now it's more counted up. So I got nothing against rules, but just pointing out that Derwin actually got more first place votes than Hufanga. And I can be swayed. Devontae Adams over Stephon Diggs, sure. Jason Kelce over Creed Humphrey, not going to fight tooth and nail on it. Nick Bosa over Myles Garrett, also, hey, they all three deserve it. But nobody can tell me Talanoa Hufanga deserves to be All-Pro over Chargers Derwin James. So that's it. That's it for tonight. Mukilteo Football Show. We will be back tomorrow to talk, I think, what is going to be a fantastic divisional football weekend. My name is Miles. Good night.